Hi, you've reached Paul. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you.
To listen to your message, press 1.
Hey there, you've reached Paul. I'm sorry I can't come to the phone right now. I'm doing my nails. But you leave me a name and number and I'll get back to you splickety-split. All right? Thanks. You have a fabulous day. Toodles.
To re-record your message, press 1.
Gotta re-record that shit. Hi, you've reached Paul. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me a message. I'll get back to you.
To listen to your message, press 1.
See what this one sounds like.
Il est inutile d'attendre 24 heures et je n'ai aucun conseil à demander. C'est tout décidé, je sais ce que j'ai à dire. C'est non, non, en aucun cas.
Everybody, it's episode 51, Fumble Podcast. And I got the multi-talented musician, actor, comedian, Paul Loduca. And I hope I pronounced that wrong.
You
right.
Did. Right.
Not wrong.
It's right. Paul Loduca.
Yeah. All right, cool. It's episode 51. You remember those old games where they would, like on the old Microsoft, like it would just go to the screen.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
All right, man. Thanks for joining. Let me give a proper intro, though. So Paul is a credited actor, comedian, musician from the great country of Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, to be exact. He's best known for his viral sketch comedy platforms on social media, as well as being the former member of an award-winning pop rock band called Neverest.
Yes,
and that's very exciting stuff.
You said it right. I'm very proud of you. I appreciate
Sure. What are some wrong ways that people have pronounced
people
that?
Say Neverest, and that's a horrible band name. But Neverest is a good band name.
Neverest.
And you also said my last name right. It is Loduca, so I appreciate your being
of course,
on top of it.
Of course, man. I almost said Loduca just to make it more Italian, but
but that's not it.
That's not it. Yeah, it would have been my ignorance.
Yeah,
man. People get my name off all the time too, so I understand.
How do you say your name properly?
So my full name, what do we got here? We got Pej here, but my full name is PejTheManiac. But dude, when I moved here, it was crazy. Like, you were born in Italy. You were born in Canada.
I was born in Toronto.
You were born in Toronto. So I was born in Iran.
Wow.
But yeah, I was very little, so I was like 8 when I came. But
yeah,
long story short, you name it, I was called it. I was called Pigeon. That was a fun one. I was called Pajamas, which was actually pretty impressive. I would give credit. I gave credit, and ever since then, I never owned a pair of pajamas. But yeah, peanut butter and jelly. I mean, come on, we got it all. I went with PJ when I was younger, and then that
PJ's cool.
Yeah. PJ, yeah, But there was this one white kid in our school. His name was PJ, which was more fitting than some brown kid like me to be called PJ. So it was hilarious, growing up. But anyway, man, welcome. Thank you for spending your evening.
Thank you.
Yeah, man, and you make 36 look good. I like it.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I threw your age out there.
I tried. You did. It's out there now. I can't say nothing about it. Thanks, though.
What's going on with you? What projects you got coming up? I love your content. Obviously, you're hilarious. Your acting is superb. The inflections, and your mannerisms. It's beautiful to see and to learn from.
No,
what do you got going on recently?
I just with my comedy, my sketch comedy, I've been writing a show for a while with my comedy partner. That's based on our life, and it's a sitcom. It's a comedy, but other than that, I focus on whatever I can do in my avenue. With the platforms that I've been fortunate enough to build, I really just use it as a showcase of my abilities, and it gets me work as well because I produce comedic content for bigger brands and businesses and or artists as well, and I incorporate it with my brand of comedy. And I put it out there, and it's rewarding for the business or brand working with me because they're getting all that exposure with my platforms, as well as an original comedic piece of content that they can even go to TV with it because I shoot it at that type of quality. And then I do some social media consulting and marketing on the side with what I've built online, and just continuously working on something, always adapting and reapproaching certain aspects whenever it feels like it doesn't work. I don't like to call things failures necessarily, but when things don't work out the way you want, it's so important to find a new way around it instead of just giving up. Especially as actors and musicians and comedians.
Yeah.
I really harnessed whatever I could do with social media, and it worked, thankfully, for me, because very genuine to me, very relatable, because it's stuff that makes me laugh first and foremost. That's what I post, and through doing that, it's allowed me to create bigger opportunities for me. So those are the new projects, really. I got casted for one of my favorite shows here. And I have that kind of attention just because of what I've been able to build online. And that's why when I help other artists or anything like that, it's so important to showcase your abilities, and to put out the quality and caliber that you approve of, because people will see it and they will recognize what it is that you're great at. And they see the value that you can bring to their project, and you can do that all without an agent. I know that we were talking about that before, but you can do that all without an agent because it's possible now, especially for musicians. On TikTok, You're building leverage. You're building a following all on your own because you're putting up exceptional content that's all real to you. You're showing your process. You're showing, what you can do raw and in the air. And that's what I think resonates with people most.
That's the future. Everybody, you hear that? It's you don't need to be signed. You don't need to have an agent. Not necessarily a manager. You just got to be, you need a phone, and you need some equipment to record, and then just learn how to edit and get better at it. Right. I mean,
all of it will come.
All of it will come.
We wear so many hats, and until you get to a point where you can start divvying up the jobs. Maybe you have somebody edit for you if you don't have time. Maybe you have somebody take over your account if you don't have time to post everything. But in the end, until then, it's such a great learning experience. That's been the biggest thing. Excuse me. I've learned so much about my craft, inside and out, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, everything, just by doing what I do and trying to build something real for myself.
Yeah.
And from the music industry, I've learned a lot about how that works in that aspect, and how I can apply it to this path.
And how did talk about that? I know you did some big things with your band. When did you start with them, and then how long were you guys together?
Yeah, in 2010, between 2010 and 2016, we saw our reign of success, if you will. It was like my wildest dreams come true. I had been in bands all my life, and I believed in myself so deeply that I would attract the right things and the right people. And I finally I focused on whatever it is that I wanted. Being the best I could be as a guitarist, as a songwriter, whatever. And it led me to the right people. And when that band blew up, one of our managers was Howie Dorough from the Backstreet Boys. And and we were a pop rock band. We weren't necessarily, we didn't sound like the Backstreet Boys, but we all sang 4-part harmonies. We played our own instruments. And our first single ever is called About Us. And our first single ever hit the top of the charts. It went number 1 on Much More Music. It went gold. It was gold selling, and it won awards, and it earned us, best new band for that year, for a couple of years actually. And we were chasing success out the gates, and then we got to tour with the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block, which was such a not just because of them, it was just that we were playing sold out arenas.
It's amazing.
And that, like every musician dreams of, to be playing to 20,000 people your music, you know what I'm saying? And to have a song on the radio at the same time where people know the words to your songs and are singing them back to you. It was like, I soaked up every second, and it was the most profound time in my life, because I just learned how to really slow down the moment and soak it all up, because it all happens so fast, and it goes like this. And then you got to be on to the next thing, it doesn't, and it's very difficult to make a living, even when you have success at that level. So especially in the music world. So it's a hard road, but worth all of the reward when it does finally work for you, when you just didn't give up and you prevailed. And it's just, I'm happy that I stuck with it instead of gave up ever. And that's the same way I feel about my comedy and what I do now. So
I love that, man. No, that's It's true. And did you guys like lose your shit when you're like, holy crap, we're about to go on tour with,
Absolutely. Well, we lost it was so many precious moments, where we were just in tears when we heard our song on the radio for the first time.
I bet.
People don't know what that's like, and when you work so hard and at the time, now, because nobody cares about radio, it's streaming. But at the time when radio was the only way that you had your music, hit the top, it was mind blowing. And then we were, shooting our first music video and playing our first show and, going on our first tour, which was just before, like we went from playing 800 to 1,000 seaters directly to playing 20,000 people, sold out arenas with the Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block. That's how quickly our career rose.
How did you guys deal with that? Like that big upgrade or that big promotion?
It was different on everyone. We were fortunate. We weren't the typical drug addicts, alcoholics, and we didn't take advantage of it. We had our fun, but we didn't, we took it seriously. And for some of the guys, it was hard for them to take. Like we went through member swaps halfway through our success and whatever, but I'm one of the originals, me and the singer. Yeah. And I sang as well. I was the bassist in the band, but everyone handles it differently. We were very humbled and we were lucky to we would just be sad ourselves. So if we weren't laughing together, which was amazing, we were like truly just basking in, like, can you believe this is happening? And just just not taking it for granted whatsoever, because you see so many other bands take advantage immediately. They don't give a shit. They're just like, they throw it away. They do the typical drug thing, the typical, because most musicians and actors and whatever, they're already depressive, miserable people, unfortunately, and I don't even mean them as a knock towards them. They do, but when they get that success, they don't know what to do with it. They squander it. And I promised myself at a very young age that I would never do that if that happened to me or for me. And I'm proud to say that I truly soaked it up for everything that it was worth.
That's amazing. No, man, good for you. I don't touch alcohol, drugs, nothing. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, like how it screwed people up and like people that I would say were way more talented than I am in whatever their field was. And to see them go through that and it's sad and it's hard. Mentoring, I think, is a good segue. It's so important in these areas, right? Like I feel mentoring, and I mean, I was lucky I had a mentor that actually did go through all that shit and survived it. And he came out of it, and he went into prison, came out of prison, and he was actually on this podcast a while back. And yeah, man, he took me under his wing when I was like a young, 18, 19-year-old, just trying to figure it out. But long story short, it's like, if I didn't see like his survival, but also how broken that made him and how many opportunities that cost him, and more important opportunities is the family. Like he literally burned bridges with family.
Brutal.
And that, and you can't, and it was just a wake up call for me at that young age. And not just him, I had seen it enough to know that it's not even who I am. I maybe touched alcohol for 3 months in my life.
Wow.
And then I was done. Good for me or not. I mean, it was just my choice. I not to play, like, I'm not trying to bring down people who drink and smoke. If that's what you do casually and you're doing it in a healthy way, by all means. But anyway, man, that's great. He
was a mentor for what for you?
In my music career. So when we had a band here, Prima. We didn't get as mainstream as you guys did over there, but we had a little bit of local success, and I was the oldest in the band, and the youngest one was 16 when he joined. So it was from 16 up until I was, I think, 22, 23. And then they all just looked at me to be the leader because I was the lead singer, but that doesn't always necessarily have to mean that you're the leader.
Right.
I mean, I needed leading myself. However, I took it, and I think ego had to do with that a little bit. And man, I had a young mind, and I had a lot to learn. And we're all still good friends and everything, but you know, we all got married and went our separate ways. But it was fun. I learned a lot in those 3-4 years. We started touring Sacramento area, Folsom area.
What kind of music was it?
We did heavy metal and rock. But so that the same guitarist, his name was Tyler. He was a singer and rhythm guitars for us. He had the grunge to his voice, and so that was a perfect contrast to what I did, which was more classical style. So so yeah, like Freddie Mercury was my influence. So I just
beautiful.
Yeah. So I did. It created this awesome dichotomy, and I talked to you about my whole purpose with this podcast and my content. The comedy content is all about purity, and just either it's pure comedy or purifying the mind and all that. Even back then, when I was 23, it was like the same for me. I just didn't call it that, but it was like the band was comprised of, our drummer was black, our lead guitarist was half Japanese, half Irish. Awesome. Our bass player was Mexican. I was Persian, and then we had a country boy as Tyler that I mentioned as our other guitarist and singer. So it was just like a mesh of all these, and it was hilarious because like every week's practice we had like an exotic meal from a different
for sure. I can imagine.
Part of the world. Yeah,
that's great. I love. We were hard rock guys too, by the way. That's what I love hearing that, because
man.
our whole band, even though we're a pop rock band, we did metal and hard rock for years before that.
Yeah,
but we loved what we did in pop music, because I grew up like loving Michael Jackson.
Oh my god!
So like undeniable. I don't give a fuck what genre of music you love. It's undeniable. The smashes that he wrote and came up with, and of course the dancing and whatever, and his theatrics and stage presence was a big deal for me. I grew up with band, like I'm a new metal guy, so like Korn is my favorite band in the world. And Limp Bizkit and Slipknot and all these bands that actually have stage presence. You know what I mean? It's not just about the show. They don't just fucking stand there. You know what I mean? So sorry, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Oh, go for it, man. Go for it.
Okay. But we all kind of came from that era, and so when we decided to go more pop rock, it was a nice, refreshing change, because we had been on the scene for so long trying to do the rock thing, and it was cool, but it wasn't getting us anywhere. And I wanted to make a living doing music, doing something I loved. And when you kind of learn this, one of the most profound things I learned, when you learn to allow your blueprint to change, but you keep your core focus the same, you will forever be happy.
That's it.
Nothing will disappoint you, because if I didn't say yes to a pop band, I would have been miserable. My band would have failed. I wouldn't have had the same opportunity.
Yeah.
And I would have never thought I would be happier.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with, I still love metal music still, right? We all did, and we did like metal versions of our pop songs and stuff, just stuff like that. But the point was that I didn't have to make it in metal music. I tried. Wasn't working the way I thought. So I had to dumb it. I had to dumb it down, not dumb it down, like the meat and potatoes, like we talked about today.
Yeah.
For me to cut the fat, I had to have a real conversation with myself and be like, what is it that I really want?
Yeah.
Is it really a big deal that I want it to just be in metal? Or is the purest, talk about purity, is the purest goal that I have that I want to make a living doing something I love? And that would be playing and performing and writing music. So what does it matter what kind of music I'm performing? You know what I mean? Or writing. I grew up in loving pop just as much as I love dance music, or even super, or metal bands or whatever. I grew up in the best era of music ever, in my opinion. The 90s, you had the Backstreet Boys at the top of the charts, and you had Korn at the top of the charts at the same exact time.
Yeah.
Right? Radio was playing everything. Then you had your M&Ms coming in, forging that, and they were playing it on every type of radio station. And then Linkin Park comes, and every radio station, rock, hip hop, soft rock, pop only, hip hop. It was all playing rock and rap music. You know what I'm saying? So Absolutely. It was like crossing borders.
Yeah, man.
So I embraced that, and once I did that, I was happy in anything I was doing. I didn't feel like, I sold out or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm trying to make a living for myself for real. And if I want to take music seriously, I got to do it in a way that will be taken seriously in this avenue, right?
Yeah.
Sure, metal bands can still make it, if you will, but the biggest metal bands in the world are ones that made it in the 90s.
Yo,
Okay?
damn
You know what I
right.
mean? Not necessarily ones that, or the early 2000s. You know what I mean? So right now it's very difficult for that kind of stuff. But I love the pop stuff as much as the metal stuff.
One of my best friends and I grew up same thing in the 90s, and we've hit up 3 System of a Down concerts, and we went to okay, so just to give you perspective, in the span of 15 years we went to their concerts 3 times. The first one, we were in our early 20s, you know, fucking like, oh man, all, you know, like we're about to get in the mosh, like we got all that testosterone kicking in, and and then like fast forward 5 years, we go to another one, and then like we're like all right, let's just dance over here, like not going to the mosh. And last one we went like last year, and we're literally just sitting on like golf style, like we were just watching it, and we're like, yeah man, this is yeah, but I still love it as much as I did when I was a kid. So it's yeah man,
I agree,
it's great. Like, but you're right man, like, and it's funny because you said Eminem, the Super Bowl, right? They were talking, like a bunch of people our age are talking about, like, finally they're not playing like some like leftover Beatles or leftover like, you know, and then you realize holy shit, that's because we're the people
we're them now.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts? That's so
crazy
nuts.
It's crazy.
So crazy.
I realized how old I am when 50 Cent couldn't barely breathe hanging upside down.
I still was excited to see him though.
Me too.
No matter how upside down he was. But I thought it was a great show.
I thought so too. And the way they brought Black culture into it, and then for them to really make a statement. Mary J. Blige killed it too. Like, it was just all great. Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting Mary J. Blige once, because we got to one of the biggest things my band ever got to do was we sang the Canadian anthem at the NBA All-Star game in Orlando in 2012.
Wow.
There's footage of it. Maybe I'll send you a clip of what it was. But she had sang the American anthem right after us. So we kind of got to meet everybody that night. And it was like the crazy. When you do an anthem, you get the most hate and the most love at the same time online.
Yeah.
So it was a huge step for our career at the time. But it was like, what a learning experience.
Wow.
And to see those people work and do their magic in person is like,
it's amazing.
crazy.
Yeah. Now 2012 was in Canada, I believe, huh? Was it the All-Star game?
No, it was in Orlando.
It was in Orlando. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay.
It was our American debut, televised debut, and all over the world, I guess.
Oh man, yeah.
Scary, and it was our first time ever singing an anthem, our own rendition of it. But it went over well. You know, people cheered, and we had Drake standing up on the chair pretending to conduct us like he's a fellow Torontonian. It was like, to see that in the footage, you kind of see me have like a smile on my face because we're like watching him do this. We're like, I can't even believe that I'm singing, you know. But it was amazing. No,
Drake, yeah, man. I mean, Drake is another amazing talent who made it essentially, you know, by himself. He did it he has a song about it, right? Started from the bottom. So, But no, man, it's great. That's awesome that, you know, with all that success you had. And so you always loved comedy, it seems, right? You've told me that. And by Paul talking about, when we talked earlier, him and I had a convo earlier. He was giving me some of his professional advice. I was soaking it all in. But I put lights up as soon as he said it. I got the lights up.
All right, looks great, buddy.
The green screen is
especially.
Thank you, man. I'm eventually gonna have a better background, but I needed this for all the acting that I'm doing and all that, as you know.
Nice.
But so you said from 2010 to 16, you guys were at the height of your success with the band Neverest. And then so what? I'm assuming what, people got married or
no, not that. And I'll be real. I love that question, because, you know, people need to understand it's not the glam stuff that you think. It's very, very difficult to maintain a living in music, especially despite the success that you may have had. we had a ton of radio success, 8 top charting singles to radio here over the span of those 6 years.
Yeah.
We were trying to sign an international deal because in Canada, you can only get so big. There's a ceiling here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are many other Canadian bands, as you know, who have gone worldwide and are great, amazing bands from all genres, rock genres, pop genres, everything. And sometimes it's just it's the politics, man. It's the investors. It's the things that it wasn't anything that we did.
Yeah,
we had a very unique situation. We rocked our brand proudly from beginning to end. You know, there were ups and downs, but there was always unity in it. And we just literally could not financially move forward as a business anymore. We couldn't pay ourselves anymore. Yeah. Especially in the beginning, like I said, we saw success right out the gate. So the big money that was coming in, we had to recycle back into the project, like any good business does within the first 5 years of its life, to try to do something bigger and better the next time, to try to get the right people paid. You have a team, you have management, you have production, you have tour management, you have the road crew, you have everybody. It's not like so easy to just go put a show on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And especially at that level, all of your money problems are relative. Right. You know, except that when you're an artist, and I don't mean to discourage any artists who might be listening or even you. Yeah. It's not like, it's just very difficult you're at the bottom of the food chain. Yeah. Spotify pays a fraction of a penny for a stream. Yep. A fraction of 1 penny, not even $1, right? Yeah. Robbing us all, but giving us a platform for people to pay $10 a month or $11 to be able to stream as much music as they want, and they'll be able to get exposure that they may not normally have. This is why TikTok has become such a big player in the game, because artists are literally building their own craft, their own thing by themselves, and they're getting paid. They're setting up their own Spotify through their indie pool or whatever they're doing, getting it up there, and they're promoting their own music. And they didn't have to do that with any major label muscle because they have millions of followers as is. So they're still not getting paid enough. Even if somebody you could use one of my Neverest songs on your TikTok, and what's good about it is that I'll see it. I think a spin count on Spotify for it. Yeah. Yeah. But if I don't have publishing on that spin, I'm still seeing nothing. Right? I might have a piece of the master copy, because with music, people don't know how it works. You know, you either make money from the publishing from the song, or you make money on the master. And usually only one person owns the master, and that's usually the production, not even the band, the producer. Yep. You know? So, you know, and you don't get paid unless radio plays your song. You don't get paid unless you perform on television or something like that, or you know what I mean? So, and then you don't get paid, you only get paid quarterly, a year. Every 4 months, you might get a check for 25 cents in, not kidding, or $1,100. It depends. Right? And that doesn't come in anywhere. So you can't make a living on it. And you need to be selling tickets, and you need to be selling merch. That's where you make money. You don't make money on your music. Yeah. I one time I had the awesome opportunity to meet Mick Thompson from Slipknot once. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I got to chat with him for a few hours. And he just was he was just talking to me. I didn't even ask him anything. He was just talking. He was a great speaker. And he was saying that even Slipknot, one of the biggest, most historical metal bands on the face of the planet in history. Yeah. He's like, it costs me money to sell a record. Still. So when you buy a CD, a Slipknot CD, they got to pay for all the packaging and everything. Anything that the label put in, they're paying for it. So what the band does is they stay out on the road for 5 years for each album. You know, or however long they can. That's exaggerated, but for however long they can. Because they're making $500,000 every show, if not more. Yeah. Just in ticket sales and merch alone. Yep. Right? Whereas the music itself is not making them any money compared to relative to what's happening. Right. So when you have someone like that tell you, okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, how do you even fathom making a living off of your music, right? Yeah. And I was fortunate to see whatever we saw for that glimpse. Yeah. And I soaked it up, definitely. But by the end of it, we were broke poor. Yeah. And it wasn't because we squandered it. It was because we weren't getting paid enough throughout the whole thing. You know what I mean? And that's a label thing. That's, you know, a lot of bands get swindled by their labels. A lot of it, you know, There's a lot of politics, man. And it's like, that's why it's so important to stay true to your craft and try to do something. And that's why it's so great that social media is at our fingertips.
Like social, I mean, you and I are fortunate to be living in both of these times where we saw the shitty side of music being tied to labels and basically working for free, to now being the driver of your own ship, right? Like, or the captain of your own ship. And
it's good. Sometimes you need a mentor. Sometimes you do need a management. That's the good thing. That's a good thing. Like, just like any hockey team, you need a good coach. Yeah. You might have all-star players on your team, but if they can't play together, you can't have somebody whip them into shape and tell them to, like, listen, shut up and do your job every once in a while. Right. Then you're gonna be unsuccessful. You're gonna fall apart, right? And that's what a good manager does for a band.
There you go. Yeah. You're using hockey as an example for and then for the California people here, which they like hockey too, but
or a basketball team.
Look at the Lakers. I was going to say, look at them right now. Like, they got an all-star caliber team, but because I'd say the chemistry is shit, and that's why they're struggling.
There you go.
But man, dude, this is great advice you're giving me, and hopefully listeners who are also into music and just content creation online. Paul's been through it. He knows what he's talking about. He's seen it, and he's had success more than once, right? He's had success in 2 different fields, and even 3, I would say, because I'd say comedy and acting are 2 different fields themselves. And then of course his music.
It's just not. I don't mean to discourage anybody. With my story, what my story really means is what you're saying is that with social media, especially, you are able to build your own beast now. Yeah. Yep. You don't need permission from other people, because if people like it, because of how TikTok works and Instagram and YouTube, whatever, if you will find a group that gets it. Yeah. And that is your moneymaker right there. And if you find a way to sell to them, whatever it is, merch, which you can do. Yeah. Sell your merch, stream your songs, get your songs out there, but you're going to be seeing money from your merch and whatever brand deals you get in with the leverage you built online. Mm-hmm. And labels will take note of that, and they will come to you so that you can ask for exactly what you want. That's right.
So you build your business on your own. Don't let the labels build your business, because then
the labels want you to build their business so they can steal it with you. Keep that in mind, steal it from you. Keep that in mind. So if you need them, you be very clear on what it is that you want and don't want. Get a lawyer involved.
There you go. We have the same mug, by the way, at home.
Do you? I'm a huge Batman fan.
I love Batman.
I'm a big nerd, so it's amazing.
It's great. Which one? Which rendition of Batman is the best?
Oh, I can't even. I literally love every single one of them, except for, of course, like the Kilmer and Clooney were. It's not even their fault necessarily, but hands down, like Michael Keaton is what started it all for me. But I absolutely love Bale. I absolutely love Ben. I know a lot of people don't. I love Ben. I love that brooding Batman. I love Zack Snyder, what he did with it, and I'm so excited to see Robert Pattinson smash this role. It's going to be amazing.
I agree, and I think they've been
Batman yet.
Yeah, and I hope they go super dark, like and not short, like don't sugarcoat shit like Marvel did.
No, it's going to be 3 hours long. It's PG-13. It was supposed to be rated R, but it's going to be like. And the Riddler, I've been waiting for someone to do a good Riddler, because this is like a proper terrorist level, like bad guy. And when I say that, not in a, nobody wants to hear that word, but it just makes it so much more realistic and believable in a world like Batman, with a guy who dresses up as a bat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like he is a truly imminent threat that is very believable to me, and I'm so excited to see Paul Dano's dark rendition of Riddler and how it leads to the Joker and whatever else, And
Paul Dano was amazing in Prison.
Yes.
He was so fucking good, dude. That was his first movie I saw of him. Yeah. And of course, Hugh Jackman was amazing too in his role. And then Jake Gyllenhaal, like all of them. Yeah. And that movie was so underrated, and I love that movie, and I'll watch it over and over, because like there are only a few movies to me that if I watch 100 times, I'll learn 100 new things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I felt like Prisoners did that for me.
Yeah. So many subtleties, so many things.
Subtleties. Yeah. Dark Knight did that for me as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, Heath Ledger, God rest his soul, but it was like,
yeah. I mean, that's still untouchable for me. Like that's the greatest performance of all time, and I love Jack Nicholson. So like that, I think seeing Chris Nolan give it a realistic take on Batman, a realistic dark take on Batman was so refreshing.
Yeah.
But now knowing as an older person, knowing what exactly the genius that Tim Burton was to make Batman the first dark Batman on screen with Michael Keaton, and now that Michael Keaton's back with the Flash, with the Ben Affleck and the multiverse, and now in Batgirl, like he's around forever. They're going to do the whole Batman Beyond series with this.
Oh,
he is old man. Like who better? You know what I mean? So I'm so jacked about that. I'm a huge Marvel guy too. I love all that stuff. I can talk forever about this stuff. But,
for sure.
But I think the Batman, the new Batman is going to be. I think it's going to set. What's the word? I think it's going to just set
new boundaries,
new boundaries, new heights. I think Paul Dano is going to be of Heath Ledger caliber.
Yeah.
And then whatever Joker steps into that spot is going to have, I think, the most pressure on him. I'm not a big Leto fan with it. You know, I like Leto as an actor, and he's a great singer. Well, he's been a dick anytime I've met him. I've met him a couple times, and I have no like sympathy for celebrities who treat people like that.
Yeah.
But I think that his talent speaks for itself. But I still,
Joaquin though. What about Joaquin Phoenix?
Joaquin was amazing. He was amazing because what a realistic take on the Joker. Beautiful. I don't know if they're going to merge these worlds because I think that his Joker is going to be the one that inspires the real Joker that we all know and love.
Yeah.
And there could be, because his Joker would be too old to interact with Pattinson, but the Joker that he inspires could very well be something they connect to the Pattinson world, but I don't think they're going to do it.
Man.
But you know what? I'm kind of happy about that because I want to see a new Joker. I want to see this. I can't remember if it's Earth 2, whatever universe Batman takes place in will be the darkest. It's film noir all the way, and it's going to be something that I think is going to carry itself. It's going to become the standard of these Batman movies. I truly believe that.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. I mean, I wish they continued this Justice League 2 and 3 with Zack Snyder's finally properly releasing the proper.
Right.
I loved all of that. I thought it was a masterpiece. The proper one, not the 2017 one. The proper Zack Snyder one.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see so much more Ben Affleck's Batman. So it'll be exciting to see him in The Flash as well.
Yeah, man. Ben Affleck, dude. Yeah, he was underratedly good. They got to do a better job with Superman, though. You
didn't like Henry Cavill?
I don't. It's not even the acting. I think it's the stories. I think Superman is like too posh for Batman's world. So, like,
they exist.
Yeah.
It's still something. It's not something the studios made up. You know what I mean? They both exist in the same world, right? So
it's true.
I love Henry Cavill's Superman. I think honestly he's the best rendition of Superman that we've ever had. And I personally am looking for. He deserves a better story as well.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to do like 2 more. He's gonna have some cameos in a few of them, probably Shazam and what other.
Yeah.
I literally follow this stuff like a.
Oh, I love it.
I'm a big nerd with this shit. But like, I do want to see so much more of him because it'll be hard to see a new guy in his place. I don't like the TV guy they have, and I didn't really like Brandon Routh as Superman. But this like Cavill, I think. Yeah. I think he's the epitome of what Superman. I think he's got the look, everything.
And I think what this is all going to do ultimately is going to force Marvel to make dark shit, because they do Deadpool and then that's it. It's like, come on, man, or Logan, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, amazing. But now with the multiverse and Mr. Fantastic, Doctor Strange. Sorry.
Yes.
That's going to bring in. Did you see the new preview?
I did.
Did you see Patrick Stewart's Professor X?
Yeah.
So they're now properly merging the Fox world in with this, which means that Hugh Jackman, which is what everybody wants, they want to see him properly in the MCU.
That's
and the only way they can do this and canonize it is with this multiverse. And did you see the new Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, I did. It's Spider-Man. like gave me hope again. The new one, like it was like, I mean, Endgame to me was like the peak, and it was like, and then after that, it was like a couple misses, like Captain Marvel was good. It was okay. It could have been.
But this Spider-Man movie, I think, is hands down the best Spider-Man movie is, and it's so exciting to see them merge it because Andrew Garfield's my personal favorite Spider-Man. A lot of people don't agree, but I fully agree. He's an amazing actor, and he's like, I had the most fun watching him. But I think that it was an amazing movie, and it opens up what will happen in this Doctor Strange movie, and we're going to see a lot of cameos of the other movie actors, and then we're still down the line going to get the proper MCU versions of the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and I can't wait to see what they do with Deadpool because now Deadpool is part of that.
Right.
And Ryan Reynolds is going to have a field day with all of these the studio things, the studio politics, right? Just like it is. So I'm excited about all that stuff.
It's great, man. All right. Well, I've kept you too long, Paul. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Plug away your channels.
My pleasure, Tyler, man. My channels, you can find me at Paul Loduca on Instagram and TikTok, or Paul Loduca Comedy on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the music for the band is at Neverest Music on every platform. On Spotify, you can check it out too, just under Neverest. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Oh my God, it's my distinct pleasure, man. It's an honor to have you on. I will keep in touch with you for sure.
Yes.
Follow this man. If you haven't already, he's multi-talented, and you'll see it as soon as you watch his TikToks. And
Thanks very much.
It's hilarious.
Appreciate it.
Hey, follow Phumblepodcast on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, my goofball shit on TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat as well, Twitter, and all my video daily contents are on YouTube as well. This has been episode 51 with the incredible Paul Loduca, and I will see you on the next one.